Hi there. This is Robert Font. I am a certified professional geologist and a proud member of the AIPG. Uh, are you ready for some excitement? Because this will be it. So hold on to your hats and fasten your seatbelts. Today I would like to talk to you about the geology of the Caribbean. Well, this video is part one, which will address the general geologic setting of the Caribbean. Well, as I said before, this video is part one, but there are really 13 parts to this presentation, and they are outlined in the table that I have provided here for you. Uh, we will cover topics such as the general setting uh, of uh, the Caribbean tectonic plate, and the historical sequence of events. We'll talk about the Greater Antilles, the islands of Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and Jamaica. Uh, We'll talk about the Bahamas and the Virgin Islands. Then we'll go into the Lesser Antilles, specifically the islands of St. Martin, St. Lucia and Martinique, St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as Antigua and Barbuda. We'll talk about the island of Barbados in the Lesser Antilles, and then about the island of Trinidad and Tobago and Margarita Island of the coast of Venezuela, and the Dutch Leeward Islands of Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. And we'll end with the key references that I believe are important for this general topic. Well, you should know that the Caribbean was my playground during my youth and my early teenage years. I grew up in Cuba, enjoying various water sports, swimming, fishing, snorkeling, and of course, playing baseball. Many years later, as a grown man, living at the time in Midland, Texas, uh, guess what? I became a certified open water scuba diver. And for the next 18 to 20 years or so, I enjoyed uh, yearly trips, diving trips to various portions of the Caribbean. Among my favorite dive sites are Cozumel Island in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Without a doubt, it was the site that we went to the most. Uh, but we also dove in the Cayman Islands, St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands, uh, Bimini in the Bahamas, uh, Belize. Only did one dive in Belize, but it was beautiful. And in Roatan in Honduras. Uh, Keep in mind that the second largest barrier reef in the world is off of the coast of Honduras. The first one, of course, being the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. So I can claim to have explored the Caribbean from the bottom up. And through work and pleasure, I have visited many of the islands in this tropical paradise. On a personal note, let me tell you that although I grew up in Cuba, my father's family is from Catalonia or Catalonia. That's the northeast portion of Spain. And my mother's family from the Bordeaux area of France. So ethnically, I am a Catalan, French, Cuban with sprinkles of Portuguese, Italian, and British in my background. But most important, I am a very proud uh, U.S. citizen and a Texan, cowboy at heart. So God bless the USA. I left Cuba in 1961, and after a relatively short time in Florida, I moved to Texas. I can tell you that our great country gave me the opportunities and the freedom to pursue my dreams. So I am forever thankful. Kind of funny, the pictures that you see here, the one on the left, as far as I know, is the last picture that was taken of me while I was in Cuba. The one on the right, I'm already in the US. And notice that I'm wearing a sweater. Uh, I had never experienced cold weather before. Okay, now let's get down to the nitty gritty. Uh, I can tell you that the Caribbean Sea area is geologically very complex, as you will see. Uh, the area that we call the Caribbean region includes waters south of the Greater Antilles, west of the Lesser Antilles, and north of Venezuela and Colombia. It is also bordered on the west by Central America. Well, the main islands of the Caribbean comprise those that belong to the Greater Antilles and those that belong to the Lesser Antilles. The Greater Antilles are shown here by the blue pointers. They include the islands of Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, which is really two countries, Haiti on the west and the Dominican Republic on the east, and of course the island of Puerto Rico. The Virgin Islands and the Bahamas are shown here by the red pointers. Uh, they lie to the east of the Greater Antilles and to the north of the Lesser Antilles. In reference again to the sketch map that I have here for you, notice that the Virgin Passage, which is the first orange pointer, uh, the Virgin Passage separates the island of Puerto Rico from the Virgin Islands. And the Anegada Passage, which is the second orange pointer on the diagram, separates the Virgin Islands from the Lesser Antilles. Now, the Lesser Antilles is that volcanic island arc chain that is highlighted on this slide by the purple bracket. It is south of the Anegada Passage. Well, the main ocean basin that defines the Caribbean Sea lies south of the shallow banks that stretch from Honduras and Nicaragua in Central America to Jamaica and Hispaniola. The Beata Ridge, shown here by the orange pointer, divides the Caribbean into a western part and an eastern part. At this point, I should mention to you that the average depth of the Caribbean Sea is about 7,200 feet. Again, please refer to the sketch map here, the sketch diagram. West of the Aves Ridge, shown here by the blue pointer, lies the Venezuela Basin with a water depth of nearly 17,000 feet. Now, east of the Aves Ridge is the Grenada Plain and the Grenada Basin. And east of the Grenada Basin, we find the volcanic island arc of the Lesser Antilles. The Cayman Trench, or the Cayman Trough, known in Cuba, by the way, as the Bartlett Trough, lies between Jamaica and the southeastern tip of the island of Cuba. This is very, very deep water. The trough has a maximum depth that is greater than 25,000 feet. Quite a few authors have published good works on the general geologic setting of the Caribbean area. What I have done is I have listed on this slide some of the ones that I think are specifically applicable to this topic. Also, at the end of the presentation on part 13, I list a complete set of references. I think I have a little over 50 references in all that deal with this subject. Well, now let's proceed to part 2.